Again, I say welcome, my friends, to another episode of John Sports Corner, and things are rolling downhill like crazy. Listen, we are only talking about sports. We're not even talking about politics, okay? So, since sports is normally what occupies our time and why our viewers tune into us, we're going to hit you hard, full plate from John Sports Corner. John, again, I say welcome to this emerging trending, top of the line sports network, John Sports Corner.
Thank you so much, Trevor, and a very good afternoon this Wednesday afternoon to my family and friends out there. Thank you for visiting and staying with John Sports Corner on the SosoBone Media Network. Just let me remind you to go to the Winner's Circle Radio Store in the SosoBone shop. And again, as I like to say, shop till you drop. There are T-shirts, there are mugs, backpacks, sorrel, and certainly, to top it all off, the great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee.
Oh, yes.
Get some packets. Let's talk sports, family. First of all, birthdays, as usual. Today, former Trinidad and Tobago and West Indies cricketer Dinanath Ramnarine celebrates her birthday. Sol Mambi, former boxer here in the U.S., WBC super lightweight title in 1980. He would have celebrated a birthday today. Tomorrow, John Carlos, U.S. Olympian, perhaps best remembered along with Tommy Smith for the Black Power salute on the medal podium at the 1968 Olympic Games. Well, he was inducted into the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame in 2003 also. Celebrating a birthday tomorrow, too, is Nicole Mitchell, another former Olympian out of Jamaica. She won a bronze medal at the 1996 Atlanta Olympic Games. And tomorrow, so interestingly, Trevor, I just mentioned John Carlos, but tomorrow his partner at the time in crime, if you might put it that way, Tommy Jet Smith celebrates a birthday too. He won the 200 meters at the 68 Olympic Games in 19.83 seconds.
Wow.
And the first official sub-20 run at the time. Tyra Giddens, Trinidad and Tobago Olympian, she celebrates her birthday on Friday. Heptathlete during her college days, but has settled as a long jumper now in the pro ranks. On Saturday, former Cricket West Indies president Ricky Skerritt celebrates a birthday. Andre Ewers, another young Jamaican sprinter, he celebrates a birthday on Saturday. Also, one of my favorite footballers of yesteryear, soccer in this country, Marcus Evangelista de Moraes, better known as Cafu.
Cafu.
Who won 1994 and 2000 World Cups with Brazil. We open this Wednesday afternoon with sad news as we learned of the passing of Jamaica's three-time world boxing champion, Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum, last weekend. McCallum won world titles in 3 weight classes. In 1984, he outpointed Ireland's Sean Mannion in Madison Square Garden to win the WBA super welterweight title and became the first Jamaican to win a world boxing title. 1989, he won the WBA middleweight title with a split decision over Harold Graham at the Royal Albert Hall in London. Then in 1994, he gained his third world title, a technical knockout win over Randall Yonker to win the WBC light heavyweight title at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas.
Oh, yes.
He suffered his first loss in his 33rd fight when he fought Sumu Kalambe for the WBA middleweight title in 1988. He did correct that loss in 1991 by gaining a split decision in a title defense against Kalambe in Monaco. Judges didn't have to go to their scorecards in his first 14 fights, Trevor.
Okay.
They all ended inside the distance. He retired with 49 wins, 36 inside the distance, 5 losses, and a draw. None of his losses came via the knockout route.
Hard chin, eh?
But we talk so much about Mike McCallum, the professional, that we completely forget he had an outstanding amateur career also.
Aye.
He represented Jamaica as a welterweight at the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games. 1977, he won the National Golden Gloves. 1978, he won the gold medal at both the Central American and Caribbean Games and the Edmonton Commonwealth Games. In 1979, he won the National Golden Gloves a second time.
Aye.
He was voted Jamaica's Sportsman of the Year 6 years, 4 times on the trot, 1984, 1985, 1986, and 1987. Jeff Dujon interrupted the string of consecutive wins in 1988. Then Mike won again in 1989 and 1990.
There's a question for you, John.
Yeah?
Has he been recognized by our government in any official capacity?
Well, Trevor, I saw actually an interview last night with the president of Jamaica Boxing Board, Bama Jones, and he says they are now working on something, but he doesn't want it to be something temporary. It must be something lasting.
Like a post,
The recognition, to recognize him, yeah.
Like a posthumous order of distinction, John.
I think it's going to be more. I don't know if it's going to be like a bust or some tournament they're going to set up. It hasn't been decided yet, Trevor, what they're going to do. But as Bama Jones says, he doesn't want to run into something and it's temporary, as he puts it. He wants it to make sure it's something that is permanent in recognizing Mike McCallum.
Okay. Well, in light of the fact that we are giving such grand recognition to our present or recent present athletes, at least we should show that we have some long-term memory. Since we remember Nani, I made her national hero, and Paul Bogle, and made him national hero, and Marcus Garvey, and make him national hero. I hope our government that we don't have right now, John, is not a short-term memory government, John.
Well, Trevor, one of the things in life with me, I stayed away from the political arena. But in 2003, actually, Mike McCallum was also inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Okay.
And certainly from John's Sports Corner, we wish to offer heartfelt condolences to his family and the global boxing family at large.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Body Snatcher.
I drink to that.
Trevor, the Knicks couldn't hold and were defeated in Game 6 by the Indiana Pacers, 125-108 Saturday night.
Yes.
So the Pacers take the 7-game Eastern Championship 4-2 and advance to the NBA Championship Series against OKC Thunder.
Okay.
Game 1 tomorrow night. But yesterday, the Knicks fired coach Tom Thibodeau. That has come as a shock to many.
Well, it wasn't a shock to you, John, because, you know, you play to win.
But, you know, Trevor, in his 5 years with the Knicks, they have been to the playoff round 4 of those years.
Yes.
And this year's Eastern Final is the deepest they have gone since Y2K, which is the year 2000.
But this is the perfect time to fire him, John. It is best to fire somebody when they are on top. You know, when they go out, you know, with the best representation, than fire them and call them a loser because they can't win anything. Because right now, I guarantee that the teams are lining up, John, to get him to coach them, just to take them as far as he took the Knicks.
And you know, that's very interesting, you know, Trevor. I don't know if well, I don't know, maybe he can say he's striking the hammer while the iron is hot.
Well, yeah.
You know, maybe. But I don't think
it's like
I don't know.
It's like Michael Jordan. He retired at the top of his game. Okay, not when he's in decline. He won three-peat and then he retired.
Yeah.
That you know. So listen, it's better to go out on top than, you know, when you're at the top of your game, than go when you start losing everything.
Well, you know, he three-peat retired and came back 2 years later and three-peat again.
Then he retired. You know?
Yeah.
So I would say that the Knicks coach has nothing to be afraid of or to be ashamed of. As a matter of fact, he might have some people out there who are mighty upset at management. Because, in other words, he's taking the fall for the team. And he was not the one who was missing all those free throws and turning over the ball like they were making pancakes.
Yeah. But you know, but it will be interesting to see, you know, who they bring in as the next coach of the Knicks, you know.
Yes,
and as they say, that I heard someone say they needed another coach who can take them now over the line. But that is such a ridiculous statement, you know, Trevor, because there's no guarantee that any coach can really, you know, so-called take you over the line.
But you see, the coach that comes right now is gonna have such pressure because they're expecting him to go further than they went last year. And if he does not, then the question is gonna be, so why did you fire the guy last year who took you to first base and this guy you got to replace him strike out?
And that's what I'm saying. There's no guarantee that, you know, the next coach will do any better than what Tom Thibodeau has done. There's really no guarantee, you know. There are so many nuts in the can that is difficult to say what can, you know, to predict what will happen. But, you know, but we shall see, you know, who the next coach will be. And only time will tell.
They're gonna go with somebody. They're gonna go with somebody very young.
You think so?
Yes, because most of the teams now that are really emerging. You look at the coach of the Lakers, of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, at the Clippers, Lou, at the Trailblazers with Phillips, all recent basketball players. Look at the Miami, young coach. Look at Boston, young coach.
And I believe, if I'm not wrong, Trevor, I believe Tom Thibodeau is what, 67 or somewhere around there now, or I believe. I'll have to double check that. So you might be right that probably whoever they bring in will certainly be a younger coach.
Yes, much.
Yeah. Well, at this point, you know, Trevor, as I say, it's domino time. Who caught the game? Okay, welcome back to John Sports Corner on the SosoBone Media Network. Let's start with Racers Grand Prix in track and field that takes place on Saturday at Jamaica's National Stadium. It's a World Athletics Continental Silver Tour meet. And according to Racers Grand Prix CEO Devon Blake, this year's meet has been rather carefully curated to offer more than just a meet. It's going to be an experience.
Okay.
There's going to be the introduction of cabanas stationed along the cycle track.
Okay.
Cabanas hold up to 12 guests, offering VIP parking, exclusive food truck access, and up-close interaction with athletes. Only 3 cabanas are available.
Okay.
Also, new this year is the Kiddies Village, located just outside the grandstand near the netball courts. It will be a fun environment for children where parents can leave their children while they enjoy the meet.
Aye.
As for the meet, the return of Christopher Taylor is highly anticipated. He will run the championship 200 meters. He has a personal best of 20.25 seconds in the 200, which was done in 2008, but apparently has not decided on which event he'll run at the national championships later this month.
Okay.
And the national championship scheduled for June 26th through the 29th. He runs the 200 and the 400 meters equally well.
Okay.
And I get a feeling, though, he will probably run the 400, Trevor. And I think in terms of Jamaica's, in terms of the World Championships, he probably will fit better into Jamaica's 4x4 relay team as part of that. Yeah. And I think, because I think our 4x4 relay team can medal this year at the World Championship, but then again, we shall see. Sharika Jackson in the Women's Championship 200, she'll get stiff competition from Bahamian Antonique Strawn. All eyes will be on Olympic silver medalist Kishane Thompson in the men's blue ribbon event, the 100 meters.
Aye.
Both twins, Tia and Tina Clayton, listed to go in the women's championship 100 meters, along with Alana Reed, Kemba Nelson, and Natasha Morrison.
Okay.
Another race to look forward to is the 110 hurdles, as Rashid Broadbell, Olympic bronze medalist, is there. But my curiosity is how de jour Russell will do. You know, he was once, if you would call him, a junior phenom. And seemed to have just kind of fell away by the wayside, but has seemed to be re-inspired and has been running quite well so far. So we'll see how he performs in the national championships.
Okay.
The women's 100 hurdles will feature Bahamian Divine Charlton and Jamaica's Karika Hill. Field eventers have not been left out. The men's long jump will feature Olympic and world champion silver medalist Wayne Pinnock. His competition should come from Jarian Lawson of the US and Jamaica's Sean D. Thompson. The Grand Prix package is available on One Spot Media.
One Spot. Exclusive.
I think all in all, though, it has set up to be another great track and field meet at our national stadium. It's always interesting to watch the Grand Prix. Of course, you know, Trevor, too. I got my early bird package very early. As soon as they put up the early bird, I got my package. So
Okay.
I will be front and center before my TV to watch the Grand Prix.
But you know, John, I know it might be a little bit outside of the scope of how they do things, but I wish that when they're looking for the type of sponsorships that comes with these events, if they say they want $1 million, rather than going out there and shopping for one guy who can afford $1 million and giving him all the frontage and all the glory and all the visibility, that maybe they should go back to some of our smaller business and break it up into small packages. Still get your $1 million. Still get your $1 million, but give some of the small business a chance to showcase themselves at these events and to brand themselves, not as vendors per se, but to build their brand for the future, so that when you have them at the first event, then they can plan to be at the second event as a sponsor and at the third event. Yeah, but when you have one guy and you say, okay, one spot, that's where everything is, and nobody else says I'm entitled or legally allowed to do this, then it's sort of, as you say, reach a point where when that person disappeared from the scene, then the whole brand goes with that person.
You know, I really don't know what are the machinations of how they set up the Racers Grand Prix and who they have as sponsors and that kind of thing. But yeah, and it would give exposure to more, I
Yes,
guess, companies.
yes.
You know, yeah. But as I say, I'm really not familiar. I know how they organize. The Racers Grand Prix was set up by Glen Mills with the Racers Track Club. Of course, you know, which was Usain Bolt's club, and
Yes.
Johan Blake was there at one point. But you know, it's been a good meet so far, the few years they have held the meet.
Yes, and they have been very successful. And that is why I raised the point, because we should have knowledge of the internal machinations of such a successful organization. And in the process of doing that, it being an example to others who want to set up similar organizations, to know that they can follow in the footprints. But if we're not able to showcase how things operate, then it means that it's, you know, it's like it's a secret. We get the finished product, but we don't get the recipe.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, Trevor, Diamond League, the next leg of the Diamond League circuit is on Friday in Rome, Italy. For Jamaica, let's look at the women first who will be participating. There's Shanika Ricketts in the triple jump, Rochelle Clayton, Andrenette Knight, and Cheyenne Salmon in the women's 400 hurdles. On the men's side, Romaine Beckford and Raymond Richards in the men's high jump. Rajendra Campbell, Olympic bronze medalist in the shot put. He'll be going in the shot put, his pet event. And Kerry McLeod in the long jump, while Omar McLeod and Orlando Bennett are penciled in for the 110 hurdles, while from Grenada, Huron James in the men's 400 meters. And we move on to, should I call them the rivals of Diamond League, the Grand Slam track. In Philadelphia on Saturday, Jamaica's Akira Nugent won the women's 100 hurdles in a Philly record 12.44 seconds.
Okay.
Megan Tapper was third and Daniel Williams seventh. The much anticipated battle between fan favorites Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, Daniel Williams, and Akira Nugent never really materialized, although McLaughlin-Levrone finished fifth in the race. Podium finish for Antoinette Knight, placing third in the women's 400 hurdles in 54.86 seconds, while Dominican Republic's Marilady Paulina sprinted to victory in the women's 400 meters in 49.12 seconds, with Jamaica's Nikisha Price third. Then on Sunday, Akira Nugent wrapped up another 100 grand by winning the 100 meters in 11.11 seconds. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone was second in the race in 11.21 seconds. Akira will miss the final leg of Grand Slam track Trevor in Los Angeles as she as it clashes with Jamaica's national championship, and she is trying to make the Jamaica team for the World Championships, so she will not be in LA for that fourth leg of the Grand Slam track.
John, I am asking this question: how does the reward from the World Championship compares with what she's getting now on Diamond if she wins?
You see, Trevor, I'm not sure what kind of financial benefit they get at the World Championship. But I think at this point in her career, it has to be a balance now, you know. Long term, we're talking long-term contract now with the sports wear people.
Okay.
What you win, which big meet you win.
Okay.
What is your drawing power? And I think winning at the World Championship right now is more prestigious than winning Grand Slam track meet.
You mean what they pay you just to turn up? Tiger Woods used to go through that with golf, you know.
Yeah.
Just not to win, just to turn up and pack the stands.
And you know, Trevor, and I say that because I was informed recently, you know. For instance, you see now where we have young ladies who in track and field who go on maternity leave. And I understand that there are certain things written into their contracts now that they lose percentages of their contract, like if they're pregnant, if they didn't make the World Championship team squad or the Olympic team, if you didn't medal, you lose some person, that kind of thing when you go to these big meets. So, as I say, the running in the World Championship is more beneficial to her at this point than the Grand Slam. She has won 2 Grand Slams now, 200,000 Grand Slams.
Yes.
You know? So now it's time to
cement
to rewrite her contract.
That's right.
You know, yeah. I mean, it's really, and I mean, 28 Los Angeles Olympics is around the corner. But you have as you say, you have the World Championships now, where athletes can multiply on their money.
Okay. I have always been a little bit concerned about them losing something because of performance, because when they're performing from a sponsorship point of view or from an event point of view, they've already gotten the benefit from the person being there ahead of the event taking place. It's like you say, when you go to cricket and they say rain, no play, you get no refund, right?
The fans. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you hear some whispers about track and field leader union or something
Yes,
like that. But
because look at it this way: if the fans don't get a refund and nobody performed, why is it when someone performed because you said you have a contract, if you don't win, you lose some of what is in your contract? When on occasion, you said that no game was played, rain, no play, but the fans didn't get a refund.
I guess there's a difference in the sport.
Okay, union, I call for
You know.
union.
But just to finish up with the Grand Slam, the US sprinter Melissa Jefferson Wooden certainly fired a warning shot for women sprinters by winning the 100 in 10.73 seconds. On the men's side, Kenny Bednarek secured another Grand Slam title by winning the 100 meters in 9.87 seconds. Jamaica's Brian Level produced a lifetime best of 10.02 seconds per second, which earned him an overall $30,000 for finishing third overall. Dominica Republic's Mary Lady Paulina was also a Grand Slam winner, following up her 400 win with a win in the 200 meters in 22.46 seconds.
Okay.
Back in Jamaica, Julian Robinson has been handed the mantle of the new Calabar High School track and field head coach, replacing Corey Bennett after years of being the throws coach. Robinson, a past student of Calabar, so he bleeds green and black, and is also a national senior coach who has produced outstanding Jamaican national senior representatives, including world champion silver medalist Frederick Dakers in the discus, Olympians Chad Wright and Travis Michael. Coach Robinson says it's not the first time he has been approached to lead from the front, but because of the challenges he had with a young family, he had to think about it twice. This time, however, the lady who rules the roost, his wife, gave him thumbs up.
Show me the money.
His job now is to bring glory back to Red Hills Road.
Kids are growing up, have to go to college. Show me the money.
The money. Another Jamaica female athlete is being blessed, Trevor, as Brittany Anderson announced she's expecting her first child. She has made it clear that she will not be retiring the sport she loves and will be back competing as soon as possible.
Rocket in the pocket, huh?
Trevor, you see when I play this double S, it's domino time. Okay, welcome back to John Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network, and let's start with cricket. Lovely cricket. Cricket West Indies named their squad for the T20 leg of the British Isles tour. It will be the first for newly appointed West Indies T20 captain Shea Hope.
Okay.
The squad for the England T20s is Shea Hope captain, Johnson Charles, Ruston Chase, Matthew Ford, Shimron Hetmeyer, Jason Holder, Akil Hussein, Azari Joseph, Brandon King is vice captain, Kevin Lewis, Gudakesh Moti, Rahman Powell, Andre Russell, Shane Rutherford, and Romario Shepard. They have made some changes for the Ireland leg of the tour. Test captain Ruston Chase, he leaves the squad after the England series to join the test squad who are getting ready to go to camp ahead of the Australia tour, the home series for West Indies. Jed Gooley will replace Chase. Brandon King has been granted leave following the end of the England series, while Casey Carty replaces King. Also following an extended Indian Premier League season, Nicholas Pooran asks to be rested. Head coach Darren Sammy, along with assistant coaches Floyd Reefer and Ravi Rampal, will also head for the test camp in Barbados following the England one-day internationals. Ryan Griffith will take over head coaching duties. So, the squad for the Ireland series is a little different. Shea Hope, captain, Casey Carty, Johnson Charles, Matthew Ford, Jed Gooley, Shimron Hetmeyer, Jason Holder, Akil Hussein, Azari Joseph, Evan Lewis, Gudakesh Moti, Robman Powell, Andre Russell, Shane Rutherford, who is vice captain now, and Romario Shepard.
So that's the total, what, 14 guys for the John?
15.
15. Okay.
In the squad.
In the squad, okay.
Yeah. The T20s in England are June 6th, June 6th at Chesterleaf Street in Durham, June 8th at Bristol, and June 10th at Southampton. While in Ireland, the 2010-20 is scheduled for June 12th, June 14th, and 15th, all in Brady. England swept the one-day international series against West Indies with a Duckworth-Lewis win in Game 3. West Indies 251 for 9 from 40 overs, Sherpain Rutherford 70, Gudakesh Moti 63, Adil Rashid 3 for 40 from 8 overs, Shakid Mahmood, Bryden Cars, and Matthew Potts 2 wickets each. Asked to get 246 from 40 overs, England got to their target for the loss of 3 wickets in 29.4 overs. Jamie Smith 64, Ben Duckett 58, Joe Root 44, Josh Butler 41 not out, Alzari Joseph, Gudakesh Moti, and Ruston Chase 1 wicket each.
So tell me something, John. Being swept, what is the ripple effect, John, on the whole league, the whole system, the whole selection system, the whole putting the team together systems, John? After you put a team together that was supposed to be competitive, John, and they got swept. What happens now in the background? How do they analyze? How do they go forward? What is the track? What is the history of their response when something like this happens?
Well, Trevor, you're asking me a boardroom question.
Well,
With Cricket West Indies. And I guess we can only hope that our players will improve and next time around. But it also goes towards the World Championships in these different versions of the games. Because the more you lose is the further away you are from automatically qualifying for World Championship.
Right.
And you probably, in order to qualify for a World Championship, you probably have to go through that qualification round.
Well, you see, the reason why I asked that, John, is because we were just talking about Tom Thibodeau being fired after he took the Knicks to the Eastern Conference semifinals, okay? And then we turn around and we said that the West Indies team just got swept. And so my question is, who is held accountable? What is the response? Because as students of the game and followers of the game, when we see what we regard as a failure, we know our responses. So okay, so what are you gonna do so next time we win?
Things you're doing, Trevor.
Huh?
A couple of things you have to remember now. There's a new management thought in West Indies cricket now, and a new management way of doing things. Also remember that the cricketers who play at this level are generally our best cricketers. It's not like years ago when you had players bucking to get into the West Indies team who were almost maybe as good as, but just can't make the West Indies team. Our cricket has fallen off so much. And I think there's really a concerted effort now to try to rebuild. But rebuilding is going to probably take a good 2-3 years now.
Okay.
And it's probably not even with these players, or most of these players, it's some other youngsters probably who are coming through the pipeline, and maybe 3 years is too short too.
That's right. Build from the draft. Build from the draft, because you're right, John. You're quite right at that, because I have been introduced to something that is not, and I don't know if it is being accepted across the board by the league. It's what Mike Chambers called mind power. Now, is it a successful program that you can integrate into the system so that we do not say India is number 1, Australia is number 2, Pakistan is number 3, and West Indies, well, our cricket has fallen.
It's 10. They are 10.
They are
9,
10. Okay. So if we say that there is something that is being introduced with a possibility of moving them from 10 to 8 or to 7 in 3 years, then the question is, what are they planning to do? As as followers of the game, we have to hold the boardroom responsible, John, because you see what happened with the Knicks. The investors, the shareholders are saying, we know you promised us a ring.
Yeah, but Trevor, how things are done in the Caribbean, I guess, is not how America sports is run. America sports is big business,
Right. and I'm glad you said that, John, because it is only on platforms like John Sports Corner or on the cricket show, where you can sit down and say, listen, as board members, you guys might be satisfied, but for those of us who pays to watch the game, we are looking for some accountability.
And you see, Trevor, I think over the years with cricket, there has been so much insularity within West Indies cricket that you have to sometimes wonder why certain decisions are made.
All right.
They didn't. Some people didn't like Dave Cameron when he was the president, but Dave was leading, trying to build a platform, for a solid platform for West Indies cricket. but I guess some people didn't like how he was doing it,
Okay.
you know,
I
and so they didn't vote for him to be president. I think it was a fourth term,
mhm.
you know.
And yes, and John, we have heard about that being discussed on in the grapevine. And from my position as SosoBone, cut the fat, let's get down to the bone. I mean, we have to look at them and say that they were wrong, that they elected the wrong man. Because if you had somebody who had a plan and a program to take you in a direction to make you be number one, and that person, you discarded that person, and the replacement, John, has gotten us from number 7 to number 10, they made a mistake, and we have to call it out on the on sports platforms. You know?
Yeah.
We cannot be just giving them a free pass. Okay?
But I think the new president, Dr. Kishore Shallow, he is, I think he's trying some things now, or leading the charge in a little different manner. Sorry. So hopefully what he's doing will work. It will bear fruit in the long term.
I will welcome him to our guest on John Sports Corner, so he can tell us what are the plans he has in store. So the community and the cricket community can not only buy into it, but as it succeeds, they can actually claim it. Okay, so listen, every politician that we elect, before we elect them, they normally tell us what they plan to do, because they look in our community and they say, we're going to fix the potholes.
No, they're looking for votes.
Well, Dave Cameron never got the votes.
Never get the votes.
Okay.
I mean, looking for votes, like what is going on right now in Jamaica.
Yes, yes. You know,
all of a sudden you're having all these development and buildings going up and stuff. And
yes.
I mean,
I'm just saying that our interest in cricket is such that we would like to see cricket on the same platform as soccer, on the same platform as basketball. Okay, where we can say that the networks are lining up, John, bidding to host the events. Okay, and with World Cup coming to the United States in a few years, we have to call a spade a spade. Okay, especially on the sports platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, if we are just here to rubber stamp what they're doing and say, how are you, have a nice day, you try. No, because when the 10 athletes run, it's only first, second, and third get prizes, John. And if okay.
Anyway, Trevor, Shane Dietz, the coach of the West Indies women's cricket team, says that West Indies women would focus on playing attacking cricket for the remainder of their England tour. Okay. Well, our ladies were attacked in game 2 at Leicester today, losing the game to England women by 143 runs. Okay. And to make matters worse, Captain Haley Matthews was out with a shoulder injury. England women piled up 366 for 6 from their 50 overs. Amy Jones, 129. Tammy Beaumont, 106. Those were the 2 opening bats. Ladies who opened the batting. I was about to say bat ladies. Emma Lamb got 55. Karishma Ramhara picked up 2 for 57 from her 10 overs. And Alia Aline 2 for 56 from 6 overs. West Indies women 223 from 45.4 overs. Rialana Graymond got 53. Janela Glasgow 44. Capsey got 3 for 41 from 8.4 overs. Lindsay Smith, 2 for 27 from 10. And Lauren Filler, 2 for 44 from 9.
Okay.
And that was Alice Capsey, 3 for 41 from 8.4 overs. And again, just a reminder, tickets are now available for the 44th Cricket Hall of Fame induction ceremony, scheduled for Saturday, October the 4th at the Marriott Hotel up there at Windsor in Connecticut.
Oh, yes.
At the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, South Africa, A, by an innings and 88 runs over West Indies, A, in the first unofficial test. No rest for the weary. West Indies A bowled out for 240 in their first innings. Tevin Imlach gets 61, Michael Louis 57, John Campbell 33, and John Campbell and Michael Louis shared in an opening stand of 79. I don't know if this could be the opening pair for the Australia Test Series, but we shall see. Anyway, Tari Pierre got 44, Akule Sele 5 for 43, Seppo Mareki 3 for 63. South Africa 600 for the loss of 7 wickets declared. That's South Africa A. 600. Marcus Ackerman 209. Rivaldo Munsami 68. Quinilan Subramanian 64 not out. Jason Smith 56. Jordan Herman 52. Ronaldo Ali Mohammed 2 for 88. OJ Shields 2 for 90. West Indies had to follow on, and they scored 272 in their second innings. Kevlin Anderson 52. Ali Kathanes 49. Quinilan Subrayan 5 for 82. And Tristan Luce 4 for 86.
So in the
game block, Trevor.
So they were
domino time.
They were actually playing for pride now. I'm sure. John, I would say that when the game, when they got home, they had to run a lot of laps, John.
Well, our teams are not doing well in cricket, Trevor. But Trevor, I have to believe that it's coaching.
Okay.
It's not a question that our players are not talented. It's coaching from the grassroots level coming up.
All right.
I mean, how can young fast bowlers go into a West Indies regional tournament and are called for illegal action? Who was watching them mature or grow from under 13, under 15, under 17, under 19, under 21? Who was watching them?
And were there any umpires at the games, John?
Well, there had to be umpires.
Well, that
these guys go through the levels of cricket, and you are selected now to a senior West Indies development team, and that is where you see that they have an illegal action.
Would that mean the umpires were incompetent, John? They're not doing their jobs.
Because the umpires and the coaches, whoever the coaches were, the coach should have seen. Should see this, Trevor.
Yes.
If you're coaching a youngster every day, and you know your cricket.
Yes.
You're teaching him how to bat, how to do this, how to play this. You're not watching him bowl too?
Well, when you punish these players, John, at the senior level when they get there, you should make it retroactive. Going down the line for all the people who give him a pass, John, and for that listen, is like if your child come out of high school and they can't read, John, after they finish fifth form, and you turn around and you look at the fifth form teacher, you have to say, hold on a second. The child should have been able to read back from during fourth form. And
how did he pass his test?
How did he pass his test? So it has to be retroactive.
Mm-hmm. Okay? That's a good thought, Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as I say, Trevor, it's domino time.
Yes. Let the chips fall where they may.
Welcome back to John Sports Corner. Let's start with some more cricket news. It will be a Kensington Cricket Club and St. Catherine Cricket Club for the Michael Holding Senior Cup final in Jamaica, as Kensington advanced by virtue of first innings points in their match against the Clarendon Cricket Association. Mm-hmm. Kensington batted first and scored 181, Jamie Hay 86, Perico Henry 4 for 56. In fact, at 90 for 2, Clarendon seemed set to overhaul the Kensington score, but came up short as they were bowled out for 150. Whoa. Anthony Deckers 2 for 54. Kensington reached 39 for 1 in their second innings when the game was called off. Oh. St. Catherine go to the final by virtue of last week's first innings win over defending champions Kingston Cricket Club. Indian Premier League Royal Challengers Bangalore, they squeezed a 6-run win over Punjab Kings to put their name on their first Indian Premier League trophy. All right. Royal Challengers Bangalore 190 for 9 from 20 overs. Virat Kohli 43, Rajat Patidar 26, Romario Shepherd 17, Arshdeep Singh 3 for 40 from 4 overs, Kyle Jamieson 3 for 48 from his 4 overs, Punjab Kings 184 for 7 from 20 overs, Shashank Singh 61 not out, Josh Inglis 39, Krunal Pandya 2 for 17 from 4 overs, Bhuvneshwar Kumar 2 for 38 from 4, while Romario Shepherd picked up 1 for 30 from his 3 overs. Mm-hmm. In the world of football, Trevor, I am not a happy camper this afternoon with how the Reggae Girls looked against the U.S. in last night's friendly. Mm-hmm. First off, they look sluggish. Uh-huh. Secondly, U.S. players were beating them to the ball. Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen our ladies cutting off the passing lanes and attacking the ball carriers instead of constantly dropping back and backing off, as if waiting to see what the U.S. player was going to do or where is going to pass the ball. Okay. My question, John. They were giving the U.S. team too much space. Yeah, and my question, John, having established and having played the game, do we now look at the preparation, John? Because sluggish, John, versus how they normally play the game. One player might be sluggish, but the team is sluggish, John. I mean, so the question is, when did they arrive? What was it, in Missouri? Mm-hmm. How many days ahead of the game, John, did they arrive? Did they arrive and have jet lag, John? While the U.S. team never had to worry about that. Jet lag. You know, you're changing time zones here. Okay? So, you know, we talk about coaching. So should we say that coaching had something to do with a sluggish performance by the team? Not by one or two players, but by the team at large seemed sluggish? The team at large was defensive,
rather than being, offensive. I mean,
I watch. I don't like how our ladies play, Trevor. As I say, they don't seem to have improved from the last time I saw them. And let's face it, a lot of our ladies now are playing professional football in Europe
mm-hmm.
and other places. And to me, I want to see a better performance. I want to see better passing. I want to see when you intercept a ball in your defense, you don't just get out of the defense, but you look for a pass.
You turn it back over to the other team, and then you start defending again. That's what they're doing.
And you start defending again.
And John, I like how professional sports in this country, basketball and baseball mainly, how they're treated after a game or even during a game. When journalists ask them the tough questions, okay? And you ask the coach, John. So the Reggae Girls having been determined to be not prepared as they normally are or expected to be, we should be talking to the coach. Put all of them accountable, John, for preparation.
And I really don't know when they arrived in St. Louis. But the coach wasn't there. And if my memory serves me, the last friendly that we played, he wasn't there either.
Oh, well.
So the game was handled by his assistant, Dean Burton. However, Trevor, Dean Burton played for Reggae Boys. He was part of 98 World Cup.
Uh-huh.
So he has played big-time football. So I guess he knows a little bit about football.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing where I saw our ladies backing off, I said, what the hell is this? I think, go get the ball from the attacking player.
Yeah, because
force them to make passes.
Because in preparing to play the US team, we have seen the US team play enough time for us to have a profile of the team, John.
Well, the last time you get 5 love, Trevor. The last time we played them.
You see? What I'm saying is we have
you get 4 this time, so you look better.
We have a profile of the US team. And maybe it was the memory of the 5 love, John, while they were so defensive, looking to hold it down or to cut it down from 5 by 20% to 4. Okay?
And I mean, although Khadija Bonishaw is not in the team, but even when she's there, Trevor, you're not seeing the passes coming into her up front.
And that is determined by the coach, John. He set this strategy. If you're going to play Japan, you know how you're going to play Japan. You're bigger than they are. You're faster than they are. Therefore, you're going to play a certain way. You're going to be more physical because they have smaller players. Okay? But if you're going to play the US, they have a great nutrition system. Okay? They're fit. Okay? They're fit. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when people talk about playing the Reggae Boys, they say, listen, those boys are fast. Okay? And, and they're fearless. And they have that reputation that, that why people come out to see the Reggae Boys and they're well known and a popular team. Bunny Shaw brought that to light in the Olympics, John. Okay? Where she was, I would say, the most watched player.
In the World Championship.
In the World Championships, okay? She was the most watched player, the most talked about player, okay? Not Marta from Brazil anymore. It was Bunny Shaw.
And she wasn't really getting the ball, as she does when she played with our club team.
Right, because the supporting cast was not as talented, okay? Not as talented, and that's understood.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, Michael Jordan played what? And Kobe Bryant, they played 18 years, but Kobe only had 5 rings. Michael only has 6.
Okay? And never have any the first few years.
Exactly. So it is understood that they're gonna go through a curve a learning curve and a growth curve until they reach when they can actually now make the people around them better. But the coaching, John, you know, the coaching in the United States is so data driven that they can turn around after the Knicks went to the Eastern Conference semifinals and fire the coach because they're saying that his action never matched the data. Okay.
But you know, I know another World Cup qualifiers coming up again for our ladies, and I just hope that I see marked improvement as during the qualifiers at least. But I wasn't happy with what I saw at all.
Well, maybe
I mean, the US scored a pair of goals on either side of the half, you know. But in other friendlies, you know, Trevor, Canada defeated Haiti 3-1, and Mexico tripped up Uruguay 1-0. Now, the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup draw has been revealed. In Group B, defending champions Cavalier and 2024 runners-up, Cibao Football Club of Dominica Republic, Defense Force of Trinidad and Tobago, and Juventus de Calles of Haiti. Those are the teams in Group B.
Group A.
In Group A, Mount Pleasant Academy, who Cavalier defeated in the Premier League final, Robin Hood of Suriname, OM Football Club of the Dominican Republic, and Central FC out of Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay.
Back in Jamaica, Dennis Chung has stepped down as the Jamaica Football Federation GenSec, effective last Saturday, which was May 31st. Roy Simpson has been named Acting General Secretary, effective immediately. And as part of the organizational restructuring, Omar McFarlane will serve now as Acting General Manager. Of course, you know, the Reggae Boys were in London last week for the Unity Cup, and Nigeria defeated the Reggae Boys 5-4 on penalty shootout.
Okay.
After a 2-2 draw in regulation time.
Now, I can respect penalty shootout that the team, John, did their job.
Well, you know, Trevor, before the game, you know, people felt that Nigeria was going to blow the Reggae Boys away. You know?
All right. All right.
But it didn't happen.
When you end in
we held our own.
When you end in a deadlock, then you said no, you had parity on the field. Penalty to shootout is for the luck of the draw. Okay?
Yeah.
Nobody can bet on penalty shootout.
Yeah. And one, you just miss one. I mean, I have been in that situation to one miss one.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, oh boy. But next for the Reggae Boys are the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, and they have a game on Saturday against British Virgin Islands, and then next week, June the 10th, they play Guatemala. Coach Steve McLaren has added Dwayne Atticks of Cavalier, Warner Brown of Arnett Gardens Malik to his squad.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, you know, Trevor, well, that was actually for the Unity Cup. But Michael Antonio, who, you know, almost lost his life in that horrific auto accident in December, he showed up at the Reggae Boys training session in London for the Unity Cup, just to support the team.
That's good.
And he says he is 90% there now. And you could very well see him before the summer is out in the Reggae Boys squad, you know.
Right. Yes, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Coach C. McLaren, meanwhile, he has named his squad for the CONCACAF qualifiers against the British Virgin Islands and Guatemala. One new face in the squad is 21-year-old Charlton Athletic winger Tyrese Campbell. The full squad is goalkeeper Andre Blake, Shaquan Davis, Jamali Waite. In defense, Damian Lowe, Richard King, Kyle Ming, Dexter Lambikisa, Amari Bell, Greg Leach, Mason Holgate, and Joel Lati-Badier. Midfield, Isaac Hayden, Casey Palmer, Ravel Morrison, John Russell, and Dwayne Atkinson. Up front, Leon Bailey, Damari Gray, Reynaldo Cephas, Kaheem Dixon, Warner Brown, Roman Borrell, Tyrese Campbell, and Romario Williams. You know, when I see this Lati-Badier, Trevor, I remember as a youngster growing up, you know, there was a lady, I just knew her as Miss Badier, Lati-Badier. She used to bake buns, Easter buns. So my mom used to buy Easter buns from her. But Trevor, is the nicest Easter buns, is the nicest buns, period, that I have tasted. So much so that when I started to work, I used to give my mother extra money to buy extra buns for Easter. Because I don't know what she put in there, how she made them buns, boy, but those buns were really nice. Miss Lati-Badier.
Well, you know, John, we can all tell story about the products that we had as a child because we also had another thing named Toto, you know, John.
Yeah. Toto cake is on a bun. That's right. And your coconut drops.
And coconut drops and greater cake and tamarind ball.
Yeah, man. What is asham?
And we used to work out we call guava jam or guava jelly.
Guava jelly. Anyway, Trevor, updating all the there's a CONCACAF under 20 women's championship that was taking place. I'm going to run through all the scores that I have so far.
Okay.
USA 8-0 over Guyana. Costa Rica and Puerto Rico in a 0-0 stalemate. US defeated Puerto Rico 3-1. Costa Rica 9-0 over Guyana.
Oh boy.
Puerto Rico 7-0 over Guyana.
Oh boy.
US 4-0 over Costa Rica. Puerto Rico and Costa Rica. Oh yes, they were in a 0-0 tie. Canada 7-1 over Panama.
Oh boy.
Mexico 6-0 over Nicaragua.
Oh my.
And Mexico 4-0 over Panama. UEFA, that was a great game today. UEFA Nations League semi-final between Portugal and Germany.
Oh boy.
Portugal coming from behind, defeating Germany 2-1. And the winning goal scored by who else?
Ronaldo.
One Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you know, VAR had to decide if it was a legal goal.
Well, you know, except for VAR, Ronaldo would have had more 20% more goals, you know, because the amount of time that they have called back goals scored by Cristiano Ronaldo, that he was half a step offside. I think he was just a little bit faster than the camera.
As Mohammed Ali used to say, he could turn on the light and get in bed in the cover before the light went out. Anyway, Trevor, Jamaica Women's Premier League, before we go to another break. Fraser's Whip continue their 2025 March with a 2-0 win over Los Perfectos. Cavalier 4-1 over UWI. Wi-Fi 7-1 over Springers United. Arnett Gardens 2-0 over Mile Gully. Proven Girls and Real Mobe in a 2-2 stalemate. Brazil, 2-1 over Japan in a friendly yesterday. That's Brazilian women.
Mm-hmm.
Marta at 39, still wearing the Brazilian colors.
Oh, yes.
Domino time, Trevor.
Yes.
Time to pass the man next to me. And we are back again. Welcome to winners to John Sports Corner here on the SosoBone Media Network.
Yes.
And we're going to start now with netball and the Suncor Super League. Sunshine Coast Lightning 67-60 over Sunshine Girls, Chimona Jocks, Melbourne Mavericks.
Mm-hmm.
Jock, another clinical shooting display, completing 41 of her 42 attempts.
Wow.
It is, however, the Mavericks' 6th loss of the season.
Oh, my goodness. 41 or
Reigning-
42 when they still lose.
Reigning champions, Adelaide Thunderbirds, who boast Sunshine Girls Romelda Aiken-George and defensive ace Latanya Wilson, fell to New South Wales Swifts 66-64 in a nail-biter. Romelda Aiken-George sank 43 of her 48 shots, while becoming only the second player to surpass 9,000 goals in Suncor Super League netball.
Wow.
She joins fellow Sunshine girl Janelle Fowler-Nemhard. And talking about Janelle Fowler-Nemhard, she again powered her West Coast Fever to an 82-65 win over the Queensland Firebirds. Fowler-Nemhard, Trevor, perfect from the line, completing all 68 shots.
I'm asking a SosoBone question, John, just to be on the offensive. Are they recognized by our government in Jamaica, John, for their exceptional performance on the court?
Trevor, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Well, you know, John, I think I'm looking for a younger sports minister in Jamaica, John. Someone who does not have to come to the games in a wheelchair.
Well, Trevor, remember when we had, I mean, you look at even netball Jamaica now. They still have not. We are in a month into June. They have not had an AGM yet.
Oh, not yet, huh?
And we talking from December 2024.
No, John, if you're a non-profit organization, your bylaws and your constitution requires that you have general meetings and you make subsequent reports to the Secretary of State relative to your non-profit organization. So I might think that there's a lot of breaches going on there, John. Okay. But of course, we're talking about Jamaica, right? Okay.
But it's just management, Trevor. Bad management, bad president, as far as I'm concerned.
Bad president and bad government, John. Because when you set up a non-profit organization, the government have a responsibility to hold them accountable to the concepts and the precepts that they are established for non-profit organizations to function.
I don't know that netball. I'm not sure if they are non-profit, I'll have to check on that one, Trevor.
Well, if they are business,
but regardless of whether they are non-profit or not, there should be your annual general meetings every year.
Yes.
And a financial report is part of your annual general meeting.
Exactly.
Now you can go 4 or 5 years and you have not had an annual general meeting. And now you're trying to put together financial reports for each year.
Maybe we should have asked the Integrity Commission to look into them, John.
Well, you might have to have another Integrity Commission looking into the Integrity Commission too. who signed the Integrity Commission? You know. Anyway, Trevor, let's move on across the Caribbean as British Virgin Islands' Jaleel Kroll created history in the NCAA Eastern Regionals over the weekend, stopping the clock in 19.95 seconds in the men's 200. While he placed fourth in the race, he is their first athlete to go sub-20 in the 200, sub-20 second, that is.
Yes.
However, he also secured a spot at the NCAA Division I National Championships to be held in Eugene, Oregon. British Virgin Islands have certainly been turning out a new generation of athletes. Hiram McMaster has been their mainstay the last few years. But now youngsters like Kroll, Adeja Hodge, who we saw in the Carifta Games a couple years ago, Tiandre Fret and Chantel Malone beginning to make their mark.
I have great prospects for Adeja.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Great.
No,
great.
this one I need help with, Professor. Because I didn't quite understand. I know I'm not as sharp as some people, but I didn't quite understand. So maybe you can clear it up for me.
Okay.
The Grenada Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Delma Thomas, announced that Grenada to host the 2026 Carifta Games April 4th through the 6th. However, the article went on to say Grenada is awaiting government approval. I thought the minister was part of the government. And I don't think she would make an announcement like that without approval.
Well, I think it might be a financial question that is holding up the action, John, as to whether or not they will be able to afford it.
But then she make an announcement that their game is going to be there.
Well, she accepted the nomination. And having done that, she has to do a press release to confirm that when she accepted the nomination, or she might have put the proposal on the table with the approval of the government. But when they come back with the budget, that budget has to be approved by the government. And if it's not something that they can live with, then, they're going to call in sick.
Well, Guyana was to host the 2026 Carifta, but they pulled out.
Aye, and Guyana...
And so Grenada put up their hand and said, we'll do it.
And
this will be actually their fourth Carifta Games that they are hosting. So hopefully the government will approve the games.
Well,
oh boy.
Yeah, that and Grenada has a very small population.
Yeah.
And
anyway, Guyana's Golden Jaguars in Costa Rica to fine-tune for their World Cup qualifiers against Nicaragua in Nicaragua June 6th, followed by a home date against Montserrat June 10th. The Group D clash, crucial for Guyana, who sit third in the group after a loss to Panama and a win against Belize. Nicaragua lead the group, and only the group winners advance to the final round of the CONCACAF qualifiers. The St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Boys ready for their World Cup qualifier against Trinidad and Tobago Soca Warriors on Friday at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Head coach Austin Deco Huggins says preparations have gone well, and with the addition of foreign-based players, the squad is now at full strength. And following the game against Trinidad and Tobago, the Sugar Boys return home for a June 10th qualifier against Grenada at Warner Park. St. Vincent and the Grenadines host Anguilla at Arnorsville. Both need 3 points to stay alive in their group. Other CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers later, Trevor. Dominica takes on British Virgin Islands. Barbados plays Aruba. Montserrat plays Belize. Bermuda takes on Cayman Islands, and Grenada takes on the Bahamas. And in St. Kitts and Nevis, round 2 Premier League football, Hot Spring Bath United and Mantab in a 2-2 stalemate. Rams Village Superstars 4-2 over Sandy Point. St. Paul's United 2-0 over St. Peter's Football Club. Connery Football Club 9-0 over Security Forces. Cairn Azul Rockets and Old Road United Jets in a 1-1 stalemate. Final leg as we go to Triple Crown of the Triple Crown, the Belmont Stakes, scheduled for this Saturday, June 7th, will be held at Saratoga Racecourse in Saratoga Springs, New York, because of the ongoing renovations at Belmont Park. Well, a lot of things going on Saturday, Trevor. Sports. I guess that just means that summer is here. The Belmont will be over 1.25 miles. 8 horses down to face the starter, and the early line odds have Sovereignty at 2-1, Journalist at 8-5, Rodriguez 6-1, and Baeza at 4-1. Talking about Belmont Park, the 2027 Breeders' Cup will be the rebuilt state-of-the-art park, Belmont. Breeders' Cup was last run at Belmont in 2005.
You know, John, there was a park that we grew up with one park, you know, that always ring in our ears, John. Cabanas Park.
But let me ask you, do you remember Nutswat Park?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, long shot, drop the bucket at Cabanas Park, right?
Yeah, but Nutswat Park is what is New Kingston now, you know, Trevor.
Yes.
And I'll never forget the evening that what's his name, Frankie Fraser, fell and died at Nutswat Park. I mean, I was a youngster, but I used to from very early comb the sports pages. You know, when the Gleaner came, the first day I turned to the sports pages. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, man. But no, not Cabanas Park has been the racetrack now, and they're doing good things there.
Yes.
Anyway, Trevor, today we look at the career of Mohammed Azharuddin as we turn to cricket history to close this afternoon's sports roundup. Mohammed Azharuddin, the former great Indian batsman who was once described as the Michelangelo in the midst of house painters as a batsman.
Oh, he had the strokes, huh?
Oh, I said, when I read that to the show, I said, what? The Michelangelo of house painters as a batsman. Azhar played in 99 test matches, scoring 22 test centuries and 6,215 runs, with a top score of 199 against Sri Lanka in Kanpur. He scored 110 in his first test innings against England at Eden Gardens.
Wow.
in that first series, he had scores of 110, 48, 105, 122, and 54 not out.
Wow.
He was named captain of India in 1989 and captained India in 47 test matches and 174 one-day internationals. His career was cut short in 2000 after he was banned for life by the Board of Control for Cricket in India due for his alleged involvement in match fixing.
Oh my. Charlie Hustle, huh?
And that's where we draw sums on John's Sports Corner for this Wednesday afternoon on the SosoBone Media Network. Again, thanks for joining, and tell a friend that we span the globe. Remember to go to Winner's Circle store in the SosoBone shop and pick up the merchandise, something that you would like, as well as the great Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee. Enjoy the week, folks. And of course, if you tuned into the Racers Grand Prix, enjoy that too. And of course, the Belmont final leg of the Triple Crown on Saturday. Have a great week, folks.